Good morning. I'd like to call the Executive Committee meeting for Thursday, December 20th to order. Can I get a roll call, please?
Mr. Tripp? Present. Mr. Lear?
Present.
Mr. Washington?
Present.
Mr. Legess? Mr. Olthoff? Mr. Hess?
Present.
Mr. Tholen? Mr. Byrne?
Present.
Ms. Weber?
Present.
Mr. Payton?
Present.
Mr. Ritter?
Present.
Mr. Kinzinger?
Present.
Ms. Haas?
Present.
Mr. Seroy?
Present.
Mr. Wheeler?
Present.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. Under public comment, I have one back at the microphone back over there. I have a Gary Johnson from Moments has a brief comment for the Executive Committee.
Just addressing the county board, I'd like to see this county become a sanctuary county for guns. That's all I have to say. I'd like to see that it petition passed or whatever it takes to get you people interested in some regulations before our new governor takes office. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Have no presentations. Under approval of minutes, I have October 23rd and November 27th, 2018. Motion to approve. Mr. Burns, second. Ms. Haas. Any questions about those minutes, corrections? All those in favor? Those opposed? Motion carries. Under legislative, Mr. Lear, is there anything to report on?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. At this time, I have nothing.
Nothing? Okay. Thank you. Nothing under appointments. Information services, Mr. Duval. Need to get you some theme music for when you walk up here.
Okay, I'll keep it brief. We're specifically going to address the request by a board member for us to look into or do a cost analysis for supplying tablets for all board members for meetings and trying to eliminate paper. It was told to this board member a few times is that we've looked at that several times and it's not cost effective at this time, especially given that you still have, or we still have, financial situations, cash positions that we need to address first. It's maybe something you can address once that's improved, but I believe the chairman and the board has said we need to keep things tight until we get our reserves up to a sufficient level. But the chairman wanted us to work together, my department and his office to work together to do that actual cost analysis, and we did that. His office, Anita, provided the information that, which we looked at how much paper that specifically, well, pretty much specifically addresses that you use in your meetings, because that's all that you can count toward that. Because if your premise is you're going to save money based on the amount of paper produced for your report, that's what you have to look at. And she produced that paper. I believe we have it in a handout here. I'm sorry I didn't bring mine with me.
Yeah, it's the second page on your sheet there.
I can let you
yeah,
go
so
ahead.
yeah, for 2018, 5,000 sheet cases, basically a total of $923 for paper and another $2,000 for ink. So around $3,000 total for the preparation of the packets, roughly. It's not including man hours. It's not including, extra costs for. We have maintenance contracts, but some things. Anita, did you have something to add to that?
I just want to clarify that I didn't go through just on the packets. That's everything used in the departments.
Right. But
So
would you say a vast majority of it is the packets? I mean, we do incidental stuff, maybe some employee documents and things like
Right.
that.
I mean, at this time of year, I would say it might be half and half. Most of the other time, I'd say probably 75% is for the packets of what
Sure.
we do.
Sure.
And sorry, because I said that we need to address the amount of paper produced from this packet, that actually goes even more to this point that your cost of replacing the paper is way cheaper at this time than doing the tablets. Plus, while there have been a few board members, and I don't want to stop you from talking, a very few of the board members that requested, I've had an equal amount, if not more, has said I'm not ready to do that. I would not rather go to digital. And we let that, if you want to speak about that, that's fine for you to speak, but there are more people that said they're not ready to go to the digital format completely on a tablet form, because there are restrictions on top of that. It's not something that you could take home. If it's going to be, am I interfering with where you wanted to go?
No, just that they would sit here at the board meeting. They would be fixed to this room. They wouldn't be something you could take home, couldn't be using on your home Wi-Fi. They'd be hooked into the Wi-Fi here. They would be assets for the board here. Once they're, you can't have that benefit to be, because we can't monitor what's going on those tablets at home. Then they become FOIAble. Somebody starts, you know, looking at your cookies and all of that other stuff. It's too much risk. So they would stay here at the board meeting.
And one of the reasons we've all seen for the advertisement for a Walmart tablet, whatever, that's $95, $100. That's not something we can implement here. That would not, that's not close to what you would need to provide the kind of display that you want here. And if you introduce it into our network, then I have to make that decision. And I've worked with the chairman based on what I would say I would need for security purposes and what would work based on you as a board member. We can't downgrade your ability to read the reports. So a tablet that's this big that you could barely read because it's cheap doesn't solve the problem.
Right.
So now you're into a $500, $600, $700 at a minimum tablet that you have. Well, you can see once you start multiplying that times 9 days, there's no way that paper, it costs more than doing that. Plus they break, you gotta do all the other things that have to happen. And I have to establish a security basis, which I would have to say the only one I feel comfortable with is the iPad architecture. And that's because you can't get an app on an iPad for the most part that hasn't gone through their infrastructure. So it's vetted. With an Android, which I do like Android tablets, you can click a checkbox and then you can go download whatever you want to on it. Well, that by definition is not secure. So we have to eliminate those models. So as you see, the cost starts rising. So you're not comparing a $90 laptop, tablet because you saw it on sale. That's not something we can implement.
Well, the other thing is, and just to kind of cut through this a little bit, someone says like the schools get, well, the school's buying for 10 cents on the dollar. We don't. Okay, that's another thing to consider. They get those deals from Apple directly that they pay a fraction of what this body would spend. So if you're cutting to the chase, at the bottom here, it's a 4-year payback just on the cost of the tablets on paper and ink cost, and you have to replace these things every 3 or 4 years. So there's really not a cost savings to doing tablets. We wouldn't pay for the Wi-Fi on these, you know, to be Wi-Fi enabled. They would only, you know, because we're not going to send them home. So there's no, you know, we would not do that. That's an unnecessary benefit. So, and as Kevin mentioned, there are probably a handful of people who wouldn't use them anyway. They want the paper, and we would have to supply that paper. So we do send all these documents electronically. If you want to print them out, you can print them out. So while this isn't a vote item, we said we bring it to executive and show you that right now it's just not cost effective. If we had extra money, would it still be a good use of money if they would sit here on the tables fixed to the table? Well, we can talk about that when we have $8 million in the bank and we don't have to borrow anything anymore. So does that satisfy the committee? Okay, just want to make sure.
I would like to add, there's nothing preventing you from taking a couple meetings worth of checks and buying your tablets. We will help you set that up. So you're not prevented from bringing your own in here. It's just once it becomes a cost of the county, there's certain standards that we have to go by to do it, and that drives the cost up. So if you feel like, I'm not stating that you can't have tablets. If you do want to go to tablets and buy your own, we will help you. We won't service it, but we'll help set you up on there. But again, a lot of the departments and the paperwork that they bring in won't be converted to digital anyway. So you're really not going to get the full effect of that.
That's pretty much it.
Okay. Any questions on anything else?
we didn't just go through the motions. I made him go back and revise it a few times because we wanted to make sure that every part of this was covered. So, Mr. Olthoff?
Don't you get these reports digitally? I mean, you get them on your server?
No, I have it. I
Print them
just
out?
didn't bring it up. with
No,
me.
no, but I mean, if we wanted to get it on our iPad. we
Yes.
can-
Oh, I'm sorry. You mean in general?
Right.
Yes. You all get it through email. You get the pack, but again, that's not all your packets. Like Dell may do a presentation. A lot of that's paperwork that's not been digitized. The sheriff may bring something. And a lot of
That's
that's not
tough, yeah.
digitized.
I believe, and Dell may correct me, but I think we still have to produce the paper copies of those packets, Dell. Is that, I'm talking about the big booklets of all the ZBA stuff and the zoning things?
Is it on?
Yeah.
Yeah, the applicant has to produce at least 2 copies of everything because they have to be filed at the county clerk's office, actual paper copies.
Okay.
And so could we distribute to the board in digital? It's possible, but it doesn't always come in a format that can be scanned. Sometimes there's large papers with it, sometimes it's spiral bound.
Yeah.
So there's staff time to take all that apart and do that. And we put that cost onto the applicant for those large packets. I think that's part of the problem, why this is part of the issue. We've had a lot of large packets this year from zoning board. And but we put that cost onto the applicants and made them supply us with 50 copies of everything in paper. So
And is that also so the public can have a copy as well if somebody
yes,
wants
that's
to
why there
see
was
it?
50. So
Yeah, okay,
so that we did not have to make those copies.
excellent. Thank you.
And one last thing is, so if this question's brought up again, so you understand, the tablet's the end device. You have to build the infrastructure first that the tablet can take advantage of. And as you see by the many things we talked about, that's not a simple process. You have to address every department, everything that's potentially brought here, make a system that will allow it to be digitized, it would easily distribute it so you can take advantage of it. And then a tablet would be that last thing that takes advantage of that infrastructure. So it isn't just purchase a tablet, get ready to go.
Yeah, the infrastructure and the preservation of all the documents as well. Any other questions? Thanks, Kevin. Moving on. Under Health Department, Mr. Beavis, is he here today? No. Schools, Dr. Murphy, not here either. Under VAC, Karen Smatansky. She has a monthly report. A motion to put on file would be in order. Mr. Washington, second, Mr. Olthoff. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Thank you.
Good morning.
Warren?
I just have a couple things that I'd like to cover. The VAC is not meeting in December, so our December packets won't be distributed until January or whatever. But we have totals for our year done, and if you look at our monthly visitor sheet for October, we had 284 visitors, which was the highest that we'd had through all of 18, but our November even topped that. We had 292 visitors into our office. So our total for financial assistance over the whole year, we've serviced 197 veterans. We've helped 58 homeless veterans, given out 229 of our discount cards. So our total visitors for the year is, including November, which you don't have on your sheet, is 2887. So just shy of 3,000 people into the office. And I thanked Chairman Wheeler before, but the county sheriff's office has allowed our bus to be parked at JCDC in the empty garage for the winter, so it's not sitting back here. Our drivers are actually allowed to go out there, get the bus, park their own vehicle in there during the day so that they don't have to clean off their car when they get back too. But I do want to thank the county and the county sheriff's department and everything for that. That's been a real help. But other than that, that's really what I just wanted to say is thanks. And we've had a great, we just handed out our Christmas baskets for the indigent veterans on Tuesday. We passed out 16 that morning. The baskets were donated by the VFW. I think we did 18 for Thanksgiving, and those were donated by a motorcycle club and the American Legion and Aroma Park gave us some gift cards and stuff too. So we've had a lot of outpouring and wonderful donations throughout the season. So that's it. Anybody have questions?
Questions for the VAC? All right, have a great holiday.
Thank you.
Moving on, County Administrator's Report. I have a staffing report from Anita Speckman. Among other things. I'm
Among
sure.
other things. You have the monthly staffing report in front of you. The numbers look big. It's a plus of 14 and a minus of 10, but as you can see, the biggest change in that is in the county board line. 7 new members added, 6 termed. So if you take those out, there's 7 new hires during the month and 4 terminations. Now, if you remember last month, we had a net headcount loss of 8 people. We had 10 terminations and 2 new hires. So some of that is backfilling those positions, but we still have a number of positions open. And as a reminder, if you compare that to 1 year ago, December of 2017, our headcount number was 529. You can see in total, we're now at 522, so 7 less than what we were a year ago. Any questions about that? Okay. Other than that, it has been all things open enrollment all month. Our open enrollment period ran from December 1st and it ends today. So during that time, there is a window in Web Benefits electronically that our employees can go in and review their benefits and either make no changes or make additions, whatever changes they'd like to make to their coverages. What will happen is the open enrollment window will shut down today at the end of the day. And I have a question on what the end of the day means. Is it midnight? Is it 4:30? Apparently someone's gonna wait till the very last minute. I have a call in. I assume it's midnight, but I'm not positive on that. I'm checking with the website people on that, some benefit support. So sometime today it will end and that window will go away. On the 24th, next Monday, there will be a vendor feed of all that data over to all the vendors. Well, the vendors that are online. So that's VSP, Dental, Dearborn Life, and all the medical. So those will all feed over on the 24th. I'll spend the rest of the week reviewing those feeds to make sure and testing a certain number of people's deductions to make sure those came over okay. So I'll do that review through the week. And then the following week, the 31st, we'll do payroll. And that January 4th payroll needs those new deduction amounts. So the next couple weeks will be busy for us. If employees do not go into Web Benefits by today, their 2018 selections will simply roll over to 2019. They don't go away. It's a passive enrollment that just takes what they have now and rolls it over. And I want to talk just a little bit about the culture change that we're enacting this year. It was a big change for our employees. Historically, my department would go around and do a large number of sessions at various times of the day. And when I look at the list of sessions, they would be from 6 in the morning until 8 o'clock at night at various locations to try to reach all the employees. What we did was I made a video that talked through, everyone's laughing. I made a video and it turned out to be 20 minutes long, just shy of 20 minutes long, that walked through the main sections. I put all the benefit summaries online. I actually, at one point, the first week we had a lot of questions, so I emailed out an FAQ sheet for all the departments that said, share with your employees, these are the most common questions I'm receiving. So we really moved to an electronic. There are a couple things, and I have to say, I did hear back from a lot of employees that did call for other reasons, questions, said they liked the fact that it was a video and it was a lot more convenient for them, that they didn't have to go to a mandatory meeting and sit in there and to something that may or may not apply to them. The other thing I heard a couple times was how helpful it was because they were concerned about one certain section and didn't quite catch it, so they were able to just back up and listen to it. One employee told me, well, I listened to it 4 times and I just couldn't catch it. So he called me. So that's okay, that's good. But what it allows everybody to do is do this at their own pace and focus on the pieces of the open enrollment that are really important to them. So I feel like it went well. I didn't get any complaints. The biggest question I had related to access, people having difficulty. When you go into a website once a year, you forget what your password is, or especially for our employees that aren't on the Paylocity system or are perhaps salaried and don't access the web time system every day and aren't used to going in. So there were some challenges there, which is really not difficult. I would help them make sure they got access and then it'd go through. So from my perspective, it seemed a positive thing, and it was really beneficial for me to talk to. I can't tell you the number of employees I've talked to over the last 2 weeks, probably easily over a couple hundred. It was literally, I'm on the phone and I get off the phone and there's 2 new voicemails. I listen to the voicemails, I hang up, there's another voicemail. It was crazy how quick they were coming through. So, but it's good. And it gave me an opportunity to perhaps build a rapport with employees. So it's important for them to know if they have questions or concerns throughout the year that I'm accessible. So I think that was a positive thing. So hopefully, from the employee perspective, and I'll be talking to the department heads at, once this is finished, what their perspective of the situation was. But it really was a big culture change. Not quite done yet. We got another 10 days of work yet to do, but we're getting there.
And so, another benefit is that all groups heard the same thing.
Right.
That was another big part of this, and we might have mentioned that before, because we had some issues. Well, I was in this meeting and they didn't talk about that, and I made a decision based on this, and you never said, and that person's no longer here, and so it was a consistency thing. So every year we'll just probably change the benefits part of the video.
Right.
She won't have to do the intro again. We'll just change the benefits part of it and put new documents up. Unless you want to, of course.
Oh, brother. No. Okay, any questions? Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Alrighty, under administrative issues, resignations, appointments, reappointments, I have the appointment of Mike Lahaney to the Kankakee County Ethics Commission, reappointment of Len, I want to say Kukuk to the, is that correct? Anyone know? Okay. Kukuk to the McGilvery Drainage District, reappointment of Bruce Scoffsma as Commissioner of the Spring Creek Drainage District, reappointment of Patrick O'Brien to the Essex Township Fire Protection District, and I need a motion to combine and approve those if I could. Mr. Burns, second, Mr. Payton. Any questions, comments? All those in favor? Those opposed, same sign. Alrighty. A few opening announcements. 1 opening on the Gar Creek Drainage District, 2 openings on Mantino number 3 Drainage District, 1 opening on Mantino number 9 Drainage District, 1 opening on the Minnie Creek Drainage District, 1 opening on the Momenson Yellowhead Drainage District, and 1 opening on the Essex Township Fire Protection District. We're just waiting on that application to come back in. That was one we kept checking on, and they were reappointed until a successor could be appointed so they can do business. I've mentioned that before. Under other business, now we have a presentation from Alfred G. Ronan Limited. Al, if you have a moment, we'd like to call him up. We're going to let Al do a little presentation and talk about what we have been talking about on the phone. Come on up over here, please, and you sit up here with us. So at this juncture, I had been introduced to this gentleman because we have a capital bill coming, basically in Springfield, and we have a lot of infrastructure projects here in the county. And part of the goal is to have this gentleman and his services be able to benefit the residents of Kankakee County like he has the other clients that have been here. So he can do better explanation and introduction than I ever could. So you have the microphone, sir.
Mr. Chairman, I'm
Yeah.
Cheryl Axley. I work
Oh, hey,
with
Cheryl.
Al. I put together our current client list and some biographies of our principals in the firm. Is it
Okay.
okay if I pass them out?
Absolutely, yeah.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, thanks so much for the opportunity. I'll give you a little background about myself and the firm, and then we can open up to any questions. The chairman's absolutely correct. There will be a significant capital bill passed this spring out of Springfield. The governor-elect has made this his #1 priority. He and I met on it yesterday, in fact, to go over some of the details. And this occurs about once every decade. So that the key to a capital bill being of significance to this board as well as every other government institution in the state of Illinois is that as the negotiations move forward, it's very helpful to have representation down in Springfield on a daily basis. Our firm, I founded it 27 years ago after I left the General Assembly. I'd been a member elected to 7 terms in the Illinois House of Representatives. We have been very successful. We currently have 65 clients that we represent, basically split between the public sector and private sector. We have a significant number of corporate clients that we do work for on their behalf, and then the largest by far group of government clients. The question we get normally from new government clients is, why would we want a lobbyist? Well, you know what? Nothing in Springfield is fair. And if anyone, everyone in this room has had to run for public office, and it's just the facts of life. The Cook County, where I come from, they have a team of lobbyists. And Cook County is very aggressive to make sure that they always get more than their fair share. City of Chicago has a team of lobbyists. And that's why my municipal practice grew up dramatically over the last 20 plus years, because we represent a number of communities outside of the city of Chicago who oftentimes are ignored. It's not that they don't have good representation. You have a wonderful state rep and a wonderful state senator for every community, and a larger community might have 2. Chicago starts with 37 members in the House and 19 members in the Senate. And you know what? 37 and 19 normally beats 1 versus 1. That's why people like us go in on behalf of our clients, make sure that they're at the table, make sure they have a fair opportunity to make a presentation, and then move forward and try to accomplish things. My initial discussion with the chairman is that there's a number of transportation needs down here. And again, nothing's fair. We probably have, and again, there's no definitive answer, but we probably have $1 trillion in need on infrastructure in Illinois. Now, that's a pretty significant number. I remember when billions used to be a big number, but we have just ignored infrastructure and done minimal maintenance for many, many, many years. All you have to do is drive on the road system in Illinois, and then you get into local streets, and it's sometimes a nightmare, including in the city of Chicago. Costs go up. If you don't do maintenance, you have deterioration, and that's what we work on. So the capital bill that will be brought forward in the Illinois General Assembly, I would assume will be somewhere in the $30 to $50 billion range. The last capital bill that came in 10 or 11 years ago was $31 billion, largest in the history of Illinois. This one will be bigger. Where we could really have a huge move is at the federal level. The president and both the Senate and the House understand the need at the federal level for a massive federal infrastructure bill. And hopefully through negotiations that are ongoing. And we work closely with our congressional delegation, just as we do with our legislative delegations. If there's a massive federal capital bill, Illinois has to have a capital bill because everything is done on a matching basis. And if we don't do a capital bill, we'll be left behind because other states have done things significantly over the last number of years to put themselves in a position to draw down additional federal funding. So the potential is significant. The system in Illinois exists as it does because it's just the history of this wonderful state. And we would be more than happy to be of assistance to you, to work with you. You'd set the priorities. You'd set what you think is the most important things we need to work on, and then our job is to implement. What's nice about an agreement with our firm, and we have 13 people in Springfield. We're the biggest firm. We have the most clients. We believe we're always at the table, and we get a lot done. These municipalities, the city of Melrose Park that we represent in suburban Cook County, I got hired out there 26 years ago. People don't keep us on because they like us. And they sure don't like me because I can become very obnoxious at certain times. But people have us on because we deliver. And I could give you numerous examples. We already do have a presence here in Kankakee County. We represent Olivet Nazarene University. A couple of years ago, they came to us. Their number one priority is a pedway over the university to connect the two sides of it. Oh, I don't want to lose my train of thought, but we work closely with your elected officials. Representative Lindsay Parkhurst is wonderful for us to work with because she really gets it. And she was nice enough to put together a meeting with the Department of Transportation. I wasn't able to attend at the meeting because I had a conflict and something else. I'm fairly familiar with the Illinois Department of Transportation. Back in 1974 and 75, I was the assistant secretary. I was the number 2 guy in the agency. When I got elected to the General Assembly in 1978, I served on the Transportation Committee for my 14 years, and I chaired that committee for 10 years. The Illinois Department of Transportation sometimes gets lost in space, like all state agencies, like all local government agencies. And we had a presentation to them, and the District 3 engineers that were at the meeting said, you know what, that pedway is a good idea, but we really have never had a death. So you know what, when there's a death, then we can pay attention. That's the goddamnedest, stupidest thing I've ever heard in my life. And I hate to be rude, especially with some wonderful people here who could be offended by me, but that's why I try to get things done. There have been accident after accident. Through the hard work of one of our previous governors who came from Kankakee County, the Chicago Bears are down here for a month in preseason. And there's all kinds of people trying to get across that road. And you know what? A pedway, it drives me nuts when I go up into Cook County, where I'm from, and I see pedways everywhere. Well, if it's good enough for Cook County, it should be good enough for Kankakee County. But what we did for Olivet a couple of years ago, there was a major funding issue that would save them $1 million a year in interest. And the only thing that drove me nuts is they contacted me in November and said if it's not signed by December 31st of 2 years ago, they would lose the financing benefit. $1 million a year for the university. I contacted your local congressperson, who's a very good friend, Robin Kelly. I went to my other really good friend, who is just a jewel in our Illinois delegation, Congressman Mike Quigley. Mike Quigley has put himself in a position, he will be an appropriations subcommittee chairman in Washington starting in January. That position, it's called the College of Cardinals. There's only 7 of them. If you're going to get money into Illinois, it's the House Appropriations Committee and the Senate that'll make it. Mike helped dramatically. He and Robin worked tirelessly with the USDA, and we got it approved by, I think it was approved on the 29th of December. $1 million a year in interest savings in perpetuity. So that's one example. We have done work at Kankakee Community College, and we will continue to work with them. Their needs are demanding. We got hired about 4 years ago. There was a $6 million grant that they were given 10 years ago, but the money was never released. So for 4 years, they sat there waiting for this grant, and they approached us. It did take a while. It took us 30 days, and we got it released. And they began construction, and it's a $6 million project. Here's the problem. The previous administration, or I should say the current administration, saw fit that that project wasn't worthy enough to continue. So they stopped the project. And that was after $1.5 million were spent. They had cleared the parcel on the campus where the construction was going to go in, and they had already bought the steel. Huge steel bars were bought, and the project stopped. So then they had to pay extra to store those bars, because if you leave steel out, it deteriorates dramatically and immediately. So then you build the costs, and you know what? It was a project that really made sense because it was going to give them a chance to modernize and do some things. And again, I want to praise Lindsay Parkhurst. And I don't want to take away from your state senator, Toy Hutchinson, because we work closely with her also. But Lindsay went to bat, and after 2 years of pounding, and I mean, we went everywhere. We got the state treasurer involved. We went to the state comptroller. We worked the governor's office, which, you know, I could talk to that wall and accomplish the same thing I get with from the previous or the current administration. And this is not a partisan thing. I've been in Springfield since 1970. I've worked with every Republican governor. I've worked with every Democratic governor. And everybody had a commitment, let's make Illinois a state that we can be proud of. Previous governor was smart as heck. I should say the current governor is smart as heck. He's still our governor. And he is a bright guy. But you know what? His attitude was, it's my way or the highway. We don't negotiate. I have my standards. I have my beliefs. And that's not how you get things done in Springfield. And for 4 years, we took a very bad situation and made it worse. We've got a good, if everything goes well, it'll be another 20 years before Illinois is back exactly where it should be. Part of it has to do with our pension mess, which is significant. And I'm not against pensions, but we've got some things in place that need to be altered. You know, and I'm talking about current pension benefits, but moving forward, there has to be changes. So bottom line is, we know how to get the job done. We'd be thrilled with the opportunity to represent you. It's your decision to make. The others, we also down here, we have the school district, 111, and we've gotten some grants for them significantly. So, I mean, we take care of business. Our job is to help you do your job. And if we can get additional capital dollars into the county that you don't have to use your local dollars, that will make a huge difference as you move forward.
So, just so you know, the reason I asked Mr. Ronan to come down for executive, even though this is really a finance discussion we'll have after this meeting, is because he has other meetings he has to be at. So I wanted you, at least executive, and those that are on this committee that are in finance, to hear, you know, this is not just throwing money at something. This is an investment on taking that bite at the apple that normally we won't get, but every 10 plus years. And it's strategic, and it's well thought out. And I think we have the right person, or else I wouldn't have brought them here. So please, questions, Mr. Olthoff, let me go ahead and let him do that.
Thank you, Chairman. I have three. One, is this limited to the Capitol?
No.
No. It's not, okay. Second, do you represent other counties? I didn't see that on the
No,
list.
we have no other counties. This will be our first county, but we are in negotiations right now with Lake County. So that I assume we will probably get Lake County. But, you know, right now you would be our first county.
Okay.
But I think what we would do is no different than what we do for any other government entity that we represent.
All right. Is there any overlap like with UCCI in this case?
Not to demean UCCI at all, but they're not going to get into the offices that this gentleman can walk into. And I say that as the Iron Triangle in Springfield, that those are phones that get picked up. So okay. UCCI is important for us, and we should work with them, and we will continue to work with them. But this is a whole different approach to something that is substantial. And if I say that,
No, that's
correctly.
great. And you know, we have the same thing at municipal level, especially up in Cook County. Every municipality in Cook County outside of the city is part of what's called a COG, Conference on Governments, West Central Municipal Conference, South Suburban Mayors and Managers, Northwest Municipal Conference. So you have your conference groups, but they don't go down to Springfield and worry about Town A over Town B. Because they can't, you know, it's 25, 30 municipalities who band together to work on large issues, no different than the Illinois Municipal League, which is made up of every municipality in Illinois. They represent the concept of municipal services, county services, school district services. What we do is we worry about our clients. And when there's a capital bill, you know, a group, and what's it called? UCCI. They can't pick and choose, you know, well, here, we'd like to help Kankakee to the detriment of somebody else. I can help Kankakee to the detriment of somebody else because I represent you, but that's
That'd
just
be
the way
my
it is.
point, being we're the first, we would have a step up among all the other 102 counties, is that correct?
I would hope so.
and I believe on the federal level, we can receive things that that municipalities can't. And so we can apply for things, I don't want to say like safe neighborhood grants that we pass through to the city, so they can have people that are employed by the city police force that them on their own or they're not eligible for. There's other things when we're talking about the river, which is going to take substantial federal and state commitment. These are other things that, you know, Indiana's doing right now on their side. It's why I spent a couple of days in Washington talking to make sure everybody knew what was going on the Kankakee River plan, if you will. But that's not like the kind of money that we would ever have here locally or even on the state. There will be a legislative part of that we're going to ask for at some point. And then there will also be, whether it's getting into the farm bill to get the, you know, the farm lobby on board to get the water off the fields, you know, this is all tied together and we need that connection. So, Mr. Byrne.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is more of a comment than it is a question. I just feel with a capital bill this magnitude, we need somebody in the room. And no disrespect to our elected officials in Springfield, but Mr. Ronan said, the environment in Springfield, you need to be at the table. And I think we need to have somebody at the table in the room going to battle for us and bring something back. It's always been an issue I felt in my years on the board that we really never had strong voice or strong someone down in Springfield bringing home, helping us out.
Sure. Mr. Tripp?
Wouldn't it be wise to have Mark Rogers involved in these discussions? Most of this is bridges and highways and all that kind of thing.
Sure.
I know he's tuned in, and I think he ought to be part of this discussion.
Absolutely, yeah. And it's the MPO, our Metropolitan Planning Organization, how we prioritize all of the projects. I mean, what we're doing here could benefit the city of Kankakee. It could benefit Bourbonnais Parkway. The things that are not exclusive of the other municipalities. So we're the umbrella that's going after most of those things. Yeah. But as we all know, with the largest pharmaceutical expansion in the world, a lot of their needs are transportation infrastructure, and that kind of money we won't have here. That road project that IDOT District 3 now has at the top of their list for our community, that's going to be substantial, and we need help with that. And it's been our problem for 20 years. That's been the worst corner in the county, and now with that massive expansion out there, we need help, and this is the way to get it. And so to your point, I've already started talking to department heads. Give me your list of top 2 or 3. You know, as we talked about, we might get 1, hopefully 2, but that doesn't mean other things that fall in that come in down the road, we don't have it prioritized on a list.
Right.
You know. Mr. Lear.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I think Mr. Byrne caught an important phrase that Mr. Ruin used, at the table. In my years teaching political science at Kankakee Community College, I frequently took students down there for a simulation of the legislature. And one of the things that they always came back with was they were kind of overwhelmed, even in a simulation, with the number of bills that came about and all of the activity. The individuals down there have 24 hours in their day just like we do, and unless you are one of the people that is at the table, it's easy for you to get overlooked. So I think this is going to be really important for Kankakee County, so that we are, so people pay attention to our needs.
Thank you.
Just to let you know, I'm pretty good, but you're not hiring me, you're hiring a team. Cheryl Axley, I'm a former Democratic legislator out of the city of Chicago, so you know what? but I'm bipartisan, but I'm a Democrat. Cheryl Axley's a former Republican state senator out of the Mount Prospect area. You know what? And she is the brains of the operation. I'm just the muscle. Bottom line is that, and then I have another lawyer. I have Cheryl's a lawyer, and then the third lawyer is my daughter, 38 years old, well-educated, because Dad took care of that, well-trained, because she had been a Cook County State's Attorney, Assistant State's Attorney. She was Chief of Legislative Services for the Department of Finance and Professional Regulation, and then I brought her to the dark side 7 years ago to work for me. And she's really smart, really good. And then I could go in, out of the other 13 people we have, 8 or 9 of them are former legislators. I have 5 former African-American, well, they're still African-American, but 5 former legislators who are African-American, because we have a number of African-American clients. City of Hazel Crest, Thornton Township, I could go on and on and on. But I have South Holland, but that's a white mayor with an African American constituency, but does good things. You know, Don DeGraff is one smart mayor. Yeah, well, you know what? Ask Don about Al Ronan. I offend him sometimes, but that's just because I am very brusque. But you know what? You want somebody who's going to get the job done. You want somebody who's going to be an advocate. If you hire a lawyer, you want a lawyer who's going to fight for you. If you hire an architect, you want somebody to build a pretty doggone good building and design it right. Same thing with an engineer. That's why you hire professional lobbying services. Get somebody who's going to be at the table and fight for you. My final comment, if you can find somebody better who's got a better relationship with Mike Madigan, John Cullerton, and J.B. Pritzker than me, hire them. Because if you don't, I will. Because nobody has a better relationship with them than I do. I got on Pritzker 18 months ago. I hosted a breakfast for him. We had 14 or 15 mayors, 3 or 4 state senators, 3 county commissioners from Cook County, and 2 or 3 of the real monster township chairmen. And a township chairman in Cook County, Frank Zuccarelli from Thornton Township, we carried Pritzker 46,000 to 5,000, okay? Biggest turnout ever in the history of Thornton Township. And I give Pritzker a lot of credit. You know, not a lot of people want to put in $171 million of their own dollars to become governor. You know, the economic return doesn't make a lot of sense. But as I tell people, when you're worth $3.4 billion, when you get out of bed in the morning, you're going to make about $350 million in interest off your money. So he took a half a year interest, and he will be governor. And you know what? He's going to do the right thing. We're going to try to get the debt, which is unbelievable, get that under control over the next 4 to 8 years, get the pension situation resolved to where we can continue to give pensions. And as I tell all my union friends, and I have a lot of union friends, and I was a strong union Democrat, I'd rather have a guaranteed pension that's going to be there than go bankrupt. You know, there are some folks who say, you know what, the only solution is bankrupt the systems. You know, that's not the way you treat people who spent their life trying to do something right for the state of Illinois. So I'm not going to pontificate. I look forward to working with you if it works out. And if not, good luck. I'm sure everything else will take care of itself.
So unless there's no other questions, this isn't a vote here, it's a vote in finance, but I want to make sure, because most people are on both, that they would have a chance to hear the presentation. And if something, are you able to stick around, or are you going to head out? Okay, I didn't know, because we're going to, if we wanted to amend the agenda to vote right away. If not, they can take off. I just want to make sure there's no other questions. You've got the contract in front of you. It's 1 year, $5,000 a month.
Mr. Chairman, I only distributed the original to you.
Okay, all right.
But they have our resumes.
I see. Okay, so when we get into finance, we'll talk about that. But I can tell you that that's actually, I believe, less than the last lobbyist that we hired some years ago, and which we got bupkis for. Actually, we got a grant that was never given to us and cost us about $200,000.
Well, here, the good news is I came at the bargain basement rate. And the bad news for you is when I'm real effective, you're going to be very pleased to give me more retainer. But let me prove and let our team prove that we'll get the job done for you. You know, again, I wouldn't have these clients, you know, we started the firm 27 years ago. I've still got 5 or 6 of my original clients. We don't keep people for that length of time through change of administration after change of administration after change of administration. But then again, Mike Madigan's been there for 40 years, and that helps a little bit in stability. And he's not perfect, right? I'm not here to praise Mike Madigan, but I have to work with him, and I do. And I work with Republican leadership also. They're becoming an endangered species in Illinois, but you know, that'll change. Everything's cyclical in politics, and that's the way it is.
Okay, well, thank you so much for coming down. Appreciate it. It's good seeing you.
Enjoyed it. Thank you, and good luck.
Safe travels. You can-
Oh, well, I will. You know, this is always nice to come out into the hinterland.
Yeah, it's not like going to Kentucky. Come on. There is something past Route 80.
I thought I passed Kentucky. I've been doing this for a long time. And I've been all over.
Yeah, I know. Alrighty, moving on. Any more information? Oh, okay, moving on to number 15. It's the last item on the agenda here. We had received a request. Actually, it was more than a request. It was a mandate to pay out what was remaining in this department head's budget to their chief deputy at the end of the year as a bonus. And my first inclination was, well, that's unfortunate. The second thing was, is this even legal? I know that it's distasteful, so I had to look in. So I spent some time with the state's attorney. Kind of what I thought originally is that we control lump sum budgets. We don't control the line items that are spent within that budget, so we have to pay it out. And that was the opinion that came back to me. There is nothing with policy that would forbid us from, you know, holding this. Now, we did have some situations in the past where there was a department head who, outside of a collectively bargained agreement, gave a bonus to a union employee. That we can forbid because we're the ones that signed that contract. We set precedents there, so that will never get through my office and through my payroll. That happened before we got here. So I can tell you that we can stop. But in this case, there is nothing policy-wise we can do to stop it, much like the flowers. Even though we have a policy in place, an elected department head can go ahead and buy the flowers if they want to for the passing of an employee or their spouse or whatever. They can have their own deal. We just have a policy in place for administration that we can enforce. I hope that makes sense. So I am asking this committee to do a similar action, and while, you know, we have the policy that we have written up that the state's attorney's office has kind of looked through, Anita went through it, we kind of tightened it up. This would go into the policy and procedure manual. And that's what I'm asking this committee to do, is just to put this in place, even though an elected department head can go outside of that if they so choose. Mr. Hess, do you have a question or a motion? Okay, Mr. Hess makes the motion. Mr. Tripp is the second. Now, is there any questions or comments, Mr. Byrne?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Let me get this right. Cash-strapped, tax-funded government entity handing out bonuses? That's all I gotta say.
Any other questions, Mr. Tripp?
I never heard of us doing this before. I don't understand it. George, have you? I've been on here a long time, and just to dish out this stuff, check it out.
Okay. Mr. Olthoff.
I just know in my business, the bonuses I gave my employees have become rights to have a bonus. Not the bonus means you had a good year and you give a bonus, and now it's expected. And this is what we're running into.
Yeah. Mr. Byrne, follow up.
Thank you. A quick question. How much money have we borrowed over the last couple of years?
Well, interfund we borrow every year, and actually this money is going to be interfund borrowed money.
So this is borrowed money.
This is borrowed money
that
because
would
we're
be
still
given
not
as a
out of the
bonus.
hole.
Okay.
So we're given borrowed money as a bonus.
All right.
So, is there any other questions, comments, Ms. Weber?
On the agenda, it's saying policy eliminating bonus payouts. Is that what we're voting on?
Yeah, we're because we can't do anything about, you know, with a policy that would affect the current situation that we'll talk about in finance. But this would be for the future. At least we have something on the books, much like the flowers.
So the comments made by the members are in favor of what you're saying?
Yes, they're in
Okay.
favor of putting a policy in place.
Okay, that's
Yeah,
good.
yeah. Is there any other comments? Mr. Seroy?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. You did research and the county hasn't had this type of practice throughout, or you said you could only find one incident that a department head gave a union employee a bonus?
I think there was two that I know of.
Okay.
One was in an audit finding, and I think there was another that involved a couple other offices, but they were all union positions,
Okay.
and those won't happen again.
Yeah, because by contract, the union negotiates their wage.
Exactly, and then you get grievances from people who didn't get that bonus,
Right.
and then if this particular bargaining unit was across 3 different departments, and so you could have people in other departments grieving that I didn't get it, you know, it's just a mess.
The problem that I could see is if we allowed this, then it would be kind of like, to Mr. Oltoff's point, expected in other departments, and in our current situation, I don't think we can allow that to happen at all. I mean, that's just my opinion on this in the government setting. Now, us private business owners, you know, bonuses are part of the salary sometimes. You know, you take that into consideration, but and as a government employee, I don't think that's the right way to spend tax dollars.
Especially when they're borrowed.
Yeah.
I know it goes back to public purpose. There is no public purpose in my mind for a bonus, frankly. But anyway, Mrs. Weber.
Did you further say that an individual department can give bonuses out of their budgets?
Yeah, they're elected, and they are not bound by any of our policies and procedure manual. So I did confer with the state's attorney's office, and they're in agreement that that is the case. So the policy-wise, the office holder has the ability, much like flowers, you know, with sending bereavement flowers, they can comply or they can not comply. There's nothing we can do about that whatsoever. They just have to own their decision. So, all right, have a motion and a second. Any other questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Do we have anything else on the agenda? No, I guess the motion to adjourn would be in order. Yes, you have something else? I'm sorry. Sorry.
Sorry, Mr. Chairman. The request of the individual did public commentary. Perhaps next meeting we could discuss the sanctuary gun ordinance, or perhaps next month, bring it up
Yeah.
for discussion at least.
Yeah, we can put it on the agenda
Yeah,
to.
just they
to
came
bring
and they
that
want
in.
to bring it up. I think I feel we
And
could owe it to
If
our
somebody wants to send our office some samples of what other counties have done,
Okay.
well, we could do the research, but if you find something that matches what you're talking about, then we could take a look at that.
gentleman came and spoke. He asked us to look into it. At least we could honor that.
Okay, it'll be on the agenda. All right, motion to adjourn, Mr. Mr. Hess. Mr. Hess, a second. Mr. Seroy. You're sitting close enough. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay, we'll adjourn for about 5 minutes so they can reset, and then we'll come back for finance.